all you have to do is not attend to the body, mind, world, Maya. Anything else is Maya. So all this kind of stuff may or may not happen, but it is the ego's concern. You're just the self. All this energetic stuff that occurs in the body, which may well occur or may not occur, doesn't matter. We're not paying attention to that in the practice. Well, who's asking? So what happens is that if you manage to relax enough, then what happens is that the mind stops habitually going towards objects. When the mind stops habitually going towards objects, that's the cessation of seeking. That is the cessation of egoic movement. That is experienced as being happiness. It is experienced as being and peace. So what it is experienced is a sense of stillness, which is the lack of moving towards Maya, moving towards objects. And because you're no longer moving towards objects, the natural peace or bliss of the self starts to come up.
But that's the beach example, right?
That's like the beach. It's like the beach example, yes. But it's a bit deeper than that, because when you first start, so when you're just sitting down and relaxing, there's still a concept. I am the body mind. I'm just sitting and relaxing. Like a normal person who's not spiritually inclined, goes on holiday, sits on the beach, they think probably, I'm a body mind entity. Obviously not using those words, but they'll be thinking, they'll be conceiving them of themselves as a separate human being, and they're feeling at peace. When you stop attending to body, mind, world, your identity as a body, mind entity also ends. So you become just pure consciousness, devoid of objects, being, and a lack of suffering. That lack of suffering we can call peace or bliss. And then what you do? Then you do nothing. That's all you do. You just stay there. And what's happening? Nothing. Is there a trace of negativity there? No. Zero trace of negativity. Because there is no movement towards objects, which is suffering. There's no ego, which is suffering. There's no I'm the body, mind, entity, idea, which is suffering. There is no ignorance there at all. It's just pure being.
So the I identification doesn't come up, basically.
When a thought appears, as soon as a thought appears, what's happened is then there's some attention or movement going on. And then within that thought, there might be questions and doubts that arise. And the I and the body, mind identity has probably already come up with that first thought. Don't go down that route. The thought might say, this is boring. The thought might say, is this it? How I got it? The thought might say, what do I do now? Yeah? Now you've already left the self. and gone into Maya. So you just let the thought come and you come back to the self. When you're in the self, there's no suffering. There's no question of what next. There's no question of, am I doing this wrong or right? Because there's no ego there thinking. There's no suffering. There's no sense of, oh, this is boring. It's just, you're on a beautiful holiday. You're on a beach, but there's no body mind there either. It's just like the pure radiant sun almost.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's my problem. That ullam word that he said, so I'm just like, so where's the ullam? So it's not happening. So then I start looking for something else.
What's ullam?
Inside. So Ramana talks about at the point when that subsiding happens, it shines like the sun. And so at the point of peace, I never stay long enough, because I know it does come, but I never stay long enough, because then immediately the mind comes up and, so where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Where is that? And then it just goes into a cycle.
So the mind is the suffering, and the lack of mind, the lack of thought, is the happiness. So when the thoughts are not there, that is the happiness. And when Ramana talks about thoughts, again, I'd be interested if you know that how he uses it in Tamil, Arvind. But when Ramana talks of thoughts, he's not just talking about thinking. He's talking about all objects. So he's talking about the vrittis.
Yes.
You know, any movement of consciousness. Sometimes the word thoughts he uses in different ways. Sometimes it refers to just mentations, thinking. Sometimes the word thought refers to every single object in consciousness. So this would be a thought, because it's an object, it's a movement of consciousness, or it's a modulation of consciousness. And the body is a thought, meaning it's a modulation in consciousness. Again, I don't know what the Tamil word is. Maybe you can look at that and let me know if you know already.
Essentially, the point he gets to is the vasanas are like impurities, and they just come up as tendencies. So nowadays, I don't get that much thought, but the tendencies are still, just waiting to come, but they don't really come up, but they're annoying. And so it's that practice, I guess, I'm trying to figure out how to.
So one thing to realize also with the tendencies, so far, I've used them. I usually use the word vasana, or habitual tendencies, to represent sort of psychological phenomena. But the deeper aspect of the vasanas is that the vasanas are the latent tendencies, and when they rise up, they create not just your desire and your thinking, but they actually create the body and the world as well. So just as when you're having a dream, your entire dream body, mind, and world are created by the vasanas, right? So if you are thinking a lot about a particular topic, say you're thinking, I don't know,
Absolutely.
you're thinking a lot about World War I, yeah, for some reason. You might have a dream about being in World War I, where the dream world is in a historic setting, and you're wearing older clothes and etc. So your vasanas are created not just your own psychology and conditioning on a personal level, but the entire world. The vasanas that are vasanas create the entire universe that we live in. So that the cosmic vasanas and the personal vasanas are one. So again, in Who Am I, in the first few verses, very concisely, Ramana says this. He says, mind is the entity which creates the body and world, something like that.
Thank you.
So as soon as objects appear, that's ego. So the entire world is ego. The entire universe is ego. As soon as that's there, and you're attending to it, and you're immersed in it, that's your ego. Maya and ego is the same. So all questions and doubts are only for ego, Maya. Maya, ego, same. What self-inquiry reveals is that the entirety of Maya is fiction. But that can't be taught or it can't be conveyed through Maya. When you abide as a self, then it reveals itself as Maya reveals herself as being fiction, and the self, the invisible self. See, what happens is that the visible, which is Maya is also called that which is seen. The drishya, the seen. Maya, that which is seen. So that which you can actually see is revealed as being a fiction or false or not real. And that which it cannot be seen, or the seer, which is not an object, so it cannot be seen, the invisible is revealed as being true. So it's the opposite of what we normally think. We normally think to perceive something, to see something is to know it and for it to be real. Seeing is believing, they say, don't they? That's the English phrase, seeing is believing. But here it's the opposite. Is that we realize what is real is ourself, which is not seen, not known. Not the drishya. Drishya means seen. Drik means the seer. It's the drik. It's the drik, not the drishya. The invisible is the real, the visible is the false. It sounds like total lunacy. It sounds like crazy talk. But this is what self-inquiry reveals. And this is why it's so freeing, because it frees us from Maya. Totally frees us from Maya.